New Thought Media Network proudly presents the High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour, 60 minutes of connections, insights, and conversations to raise your vibe. Join Rev Julie and Rev Skip each week for an exploration of living a high vibe life. Tune in live every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time or anytime during the week on our YouTube channel. The High Vibe Hour, only on New Thought Media Network.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome to the High Vibe Hour. I'm Reverend Julie Moret. I am a spiritual teacher and inspirational speaker at the Agape International Spiritual Center, founded and directed by Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. And love our Fridays. I love this time to sink deeper, to have conversation, and keep growing forward. So I'm grateful to be here. And who, my friend, are you?
I am Reverend Skip Jennings, and I am a New Thought minister. I am a retreat facilitator, a author, and a very grateful person because I'm going to Bali in about a week. I am excited. It's really, really super amazing.
Wow.
And welcome here to the New Thought Media Network. This is where you get the High Vibe Hour, and this is where we're here to make a difference. And I'm grateful I get to do it with my friend Reverend Julie. We were missing last week. What were you doing last week, sis?
Eating.
Love it. That's one of my favorite things to do is eat. What were you doing? Eating what?
Can I tell you, I went to, I was in New York City and I had some bucket list moments. So I went to Daniel, which is a restaurant. It's a Michelin star restaurant, and they have a plant-based menu. So it's very rare that I go out to eat. And, when I'm with other people and I can, have like really delicious food. So I went to Daniel restaurant and I went to 12 Madison, which is also a Michelin star restaurant.
Yes.
And the reason why I was inspired to go to these restaurants is I read a book called Unreasonable Hospitality, which was written by, I think, one of the co-owners, or the head person at 12 Madison.
Yeah.
And the whole notion of delivering excellence so far above and beyond, and to hear about some of the strategies and the techniques that they use. Like in this book, they talked about how the waiter would be speaking to his table and actually do sign language behind his back to his team to let them know to bring another course or to bring the check or that they were leaving. And like they don't do coat checks. So when you get up and you head towards the door, all of a sudden your coats magically appear. It's about taking excellence and service to the very, very nth degree. And it was just it was like a bucket list experience. It really was.
I love that. And talk about, this is probably why they have a Michelin star, because I was addicted to this show that recently came out and I watched it 3 or 4 times, a series. It's called Knife's Edge. And it talks about how to become, it was on Apple TV, how to become a Michelin star chef or a Michelin star restaurant and the things that they go through. And what is so fascinating about it, you really don't know who the Michelin star people are. They can sneak in. So every week, every plate has to be top notch because they have to hold on to that star as well.
Right. Oh, I got to check that out. Knife's Edge.
Yeah. Nice Edge.
So,
It's a Gordon Ramsay show, but it's so kind and loving, and it really teaches us how the Michelin star is won. And they talk about, I think Madison 12. They talk about that.
Madison 11.
Madison 11, Madison 10. I've been calling Madison, but yeah, they talk about that.
Yeah.
It's the number 1 Michelin star restaurant in America.
Yeah, it was quite an experience. And it was funny because I know we're going to start to welcome in spring. It was so cold. It was so cold and I never got warm. Like I can walk 80 blocks. Like I walked from one tip to one tip of Manhattan and I had a full like floor length winter coat and my face was freezing cold the whole time. So I thought that's so funny. We're preparing for the spring, but
You were
some
there
folks
for
are
the
still.
blizzard, right? Were you there for the blizzard?
I was smack in the middle.
Oh my
So
god.
if my trip was 1 week earlier, I would have
Yeah.
been snowed out or snowed in. If my trip ended 1 day later, I would have been snowed in because they shut down the airports. So I was like, right locked in.
I've been talking to my mom in Jersey, and I've been
Oh,
following up because all the nurses, because my mom has round the clock care, and all the adult daycare centers they take her to so she can be held. They were all closed. So my brother was staying with my mother, which it's a beautiful, and
wow.
I got to talk to him a couple of times. But this was the biggest snow. I know, and I feel a little because I'm glad you brought up our side talk before we jumped in here, because some people are not experiencing spring, and that's what we're
Right.
talking. New Jersey is one, and New York East Coast. Sorry, y'all, but we're holding space for you. I'm holding space for my mom. So the biggest snowstorm in a while.
Yeah, yeah. It's really extraordinary because there were still mounds of snow when I was there.
Right.
Um, So, yeah. And what are you drinking today? I like checking in on our brews.
Yeah, absolutely. Very important stuff here. I'm drinking oolong tea. It's like a milky tea along with a black tea quarter pellet. So I don't want that much caffeine, but it gives this dark, woody feeling. It's like it creates this coziness inside. So it's like you drink tea with milk and you feel cozy and good. There is this sense of peace and love, and like I'm being wrapped up in a spiritual blanket. It really is a beautiful combination. And one of the things I found the glory in, we talked about this probably a couple months ago, is really just asking spirit, what tea would you like to have today?
Yes.
And just
Yeah.
so, and I heard the milk oolong, and get a little bit of darkness in there and go for it. It's probably one of the best cups of tea I've had in a long time.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
hearing that.
Yeah.
Did
What are
I
you
see
drinking today?
something like a
I'm
twig
sorry.
or something in there? Did I see
Okay,
something?
so I'm gonna see if I can do this without making a mess on my in my studio. So there are these little pellets of, like, they look like grass pellets, and you drop it into the place that holds the tea. I hope you can see that.
Oh, yeah,
And
I
what
can.
happens is, and what
I love
happens
that.
is the hot water makes it expand into leaves. So they're like little, really, really tiny, tiny, tiny balls, and they expand into leaves, which gives the flavor. The processing of tea, I don't know how they do it, but
Mhm.
I don't need to know because it's so dang good. It's so
I think
dang
it's
good.
beautiful. You know what I'm really loving is any way that I can get back to nature, any way that I can get back to something that is more organic, more authentic. There's a chef that I follow, Jong Kwang, who's in Korea, and she's actually there's a Netflix special out about her right now. She lives in a monastery in South Korea, and she prepares everything vegetarian, but her food is like it's like artwork. It's so beautiful, and she doesn't follow any recipes. She goes out into her gardens and she selects like what speaks to her. And so
Mm,
more and more, like, how close can I get to to that which is nature, which I'm being led to. It's something I love about you with your morning teas, like what's calling me. It brings our authority back into ourselves, you
right.
know.
That's
Thanks,
exactly
Liz.
what it
Liz said
does.
after Everest, New York City should have been easy.
Yeah, right.
Can I
Exactly.
tell you something?
Exactly.
On
Yeah.
Mount Everest, I had the right clothing. I was trying to be cute in New York.
Of course. You got to be cute in New York. Are you kidding me? It's New York City.
I needed my long johns. I needed all the things. But anyway, so I am drinking matcha tea, and I
Ooh.
learned something today.
Oh,
I call it swamp water because it's just like this dark green murky. Um,
absolutely.
I I always get ceremonial grade, and I thought because it was like Japanese tea ceremony, it's the grade or the quality for a tea ceremony,
Mm,
but it's actually not. What ceremonial grade means is that it is such a fine quality that it needs nothing else. You don't include D. Ray Owens is here. Welcome. You don't even need to
Hey.
add sweetener or milk or anything like that, just hot water. And so I'm really appreciating it in a way that I normally don't, because a lot of times I'll like try to dress up my matcha, like a matcha
Yeah.
latte. And
Yeah.
what I love about drinking matcha just straight with hot water is that
Right.
it's got that L-theanine, so it's a really smooth, calming kind of energy. It's not a jittery thing,
Yeah.
and it brings a good like mental clarity, smooth energy. It's very calming. It's great before meditation,
Mhm.
and so I'm just really appreciating it a lot. So I'm wondering, everybody
Mm.
tuning in, like D Ray and Liz, like what's your
Yeah.
morning go-to? And do you all do any kind of beverages that are, medicinal, healing,
Mm.
expanding, like,
Yeah.
because this is something we've been talking about for a while.
Mhm.
When I tune in and like if I have stuff going on with my heart and I take like rose petals and I make a rose tea blend, and that
Yeah.
feels like really like heart opening and lovely. So I just appreciate anything we can do that up levels
Yeah.
consciousness, like participatory consciousness, and
Do
what
you
we
know
put into our bodies is part of that.
Yeah, do you know the matcha tea ceremony? Do you know how to do it?
I
Okay.
did. Is that the traditional Japanese tea ceremony?
It's
I
such a
have been
beautiful
to
thing.
one.
Go on YouTube where you can conduct it yourself. And with matcha tea, the traditional way of is the powder, and you have a matcha tea wooden, it's bamboo that you
Yes,
stir
yes.
it in first, you let it sit, and then you add more water on top of that. There's a place where you turn and you smell, you be with it. There's a whole thing before you even start to digest it because you're already in the space of the healing. I love ceremony. I love tea ceremonies. I love ceremonies, period.
Yes. So I'm seeing sun tea, usually green
Yeah.
tea, a great day for it, 94 degrees. I've never done that. Is that where you just take whatever it is and you leave it out in the sun so that
Yes.
you get some of the
I love sun tea. You take water, you put it in D. Tell me if I'm pop it in how you do it. But I take a whole big glass like container with a jar on it. I take all my tea that I want to put in there. I put water into it, not hot water, cold water. In the summertime, I put it right into the sun and I let it stay there for 3 or 4 days. It is
Yeah.
such a good. I do it in the summertime. I haven't done it this winter yet, but I do it in the summertime. It's so awesome. D Ray, how do you
And
do yours? Drop it into the feed, please.
and I'm seeing Liz's, and that feels like a wintry one because that's all the
Sure
warming
does.
herbs. So, like
Yeah,
as we move towards spring, we'll be looking at, what do we do? How do we alter diet and food choices towards the different seasons? I'm looking forward to getting to that too.
absolutely. So good, so good. Um, this week, are you done? Are you done catching up? Do you have something else you said you were going to share with me? What else did you want to share with me this week?
Oh, no, that was
Is
it.
that it?
It was really delightful. I think there's another place. I think it's called Divya's, and
Yeah.
it is like on Bond Street in Manhattan. It is so far south, and I was staying on the Upper West Side, and I walked. I think it took me an hour and a half to get down there, and it's
Mm.
this gorgeous vegetarian restaurant, really peaceful, really beautiful. So I had like a lovely week of feeling not so alone in vegetarianism, because I feel like for a while, I told you last week, my whole world was vegetarian, and now
Yeah.
everybody's eating like great big hunks of meat. So I was surrounded by like people who get me. It
Oh
felt
my
good. I didn't
goodness.
feel
I
so
love it.
alone.
I love, 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 love. And D Ray says, yes, it's a mason jar, a big old mason jar. That's how mine is as well. You leave in the sun for a few hours. I
Thanks
like to
so
do 2 or 3 days, but that's good. No real wrong way to do it. And add pink salt. That's the Himalayan salt. And a little date sweetener. Oh, mm,
Yum. Oh,
yum.
that's sweet. I love it. Okay. All
I
right.
love it. I love it. It's very interesting catching up this week. Okay, so normally I am the person who won't allow myself to get excited about certain things just in case it doesn't happen and I'm disappointed. So if something really big's coming up for me, I'm just like, okay, stay cool. Don't be attached. It's okay. This is the first week I'm actually getting really excited about going to Bali. I had not been. I've been in a place of, okay, this is me facilitating. I'm going to facilitate. I said, God, 20 people. I knew 20 people were going to go. And it hit me this week. 19 people signed up paying for the Bali trip. I'm the 20th.
Oh,
I'm the 20th because I have to be a student along with facilitating the retreat because everything they're doing, I'm going to be doing as well. And every day we have 14 days of every day we wake up, we do the
wow.
meditation and yoga and some movement. And then we go to breakfast and then come back for the morning teaching, which is about an hour, hour and a half, where we really tap into different themes of the day. Like the first day of really, how do we drop into a retreat? And we're talking about all the things that we are still so attached to the very first day of the retreat. Like I don't even have around me the phone, the way that we worry about work, the way we worry about our families. How can we fully integrate into the retreat? That's the first theme of the day.
Oh,
So I'm
that's
creating all these
beautiful.
incredible practices. And one day we're doing creativity. Have you heard of the 30 circle challenge?
No.
Okay, so you get a paper with 30 circles on the page, and you have 3 minutes to create something new in each circle. 3 minutes. And then after that, without judgment, you get to share what did you create. It really shows you if you are tapping into your right side brain energy. Because some of us
Okay.
get very analytical and go, okay, 30 circles, and I got to go here, and this needs to be with this, and that's more of analytical. But we want to tap into a place of creativity, divine creativity. So I'm creating these really incredible. Like one day we're going to set intention. I have 3 major questions about setting intention for your retreat. And the one thing that I'm doing is we're going to something called the Bat Cave. And the Bat Cave is a place where you release something, you leave a little representation of what you're willing to release.
Mm.
And so some people bring rings, some people bring watches, some people bring, paintings. It's an incredible thing. So the whole altar is there of things that you're
Oh,
willing to
wow.
release. I am releasing this old guest watch I've had since the 90s. And I'm releasing it because it hit me this morning when I was praying, God, what am I bringing to release? What am I bringing to release? And I opened up this box, and here's this guest watch that represented a bit part of when I was in the fitness industry, more prominent. Well, not even more prominent. I don't want to use that word, but I was on fitness magazines. I was traveling the world, teaching fitness all over the place. I was really in a place of, this is my life. This is my life. This is my life. And I found myself chasing that since I've been back from Florida. Because I've been
Mm.
teaching for Equinox again, and I've been running after teaching the cycling classes, the running classes, the lifting classes. And Spirit is inviting me to see, that's you then. What are you really called to do? What really brings you love? And I've been
Oh,
teaching the meditation yin classes.
yes.
That's my jam. I'm bringing meditation to a place that really focuses on the external, and people are tapping into it. My classes are full. In fact, another
Yes.
club, another location
Yes.
in Equinox said, will you come and teach that here? I went, absolutely. When I get back from Bali, I get to teach 2 yin classes on a Saturday. Meditation. This is me. This is my wheelhouse. But I got to be willing to release the stuff that no longer serves so I can tap into what is really happening now.
Oh, I want to sink into this for a minute. This is
Yeah,
such a
sure.
powerful lesson because when we first started gathering, I remember you talking about how things were shifting with your work and that
Mhm.
it's a different season, it's a different time, and there was uncertainty about what it's going to look like. But look what happens when we move in trust, or at least in willingness. Like all of
Right.
a sudden, something that suits you so divinely for this season, this moment is opening up, and it's an answer. Like I've told you, I call it roly-poly yoga. This kind of yoga where you get to like move slow and like anything
Yeah,
where I'm laying down on the ground, like
I
holding a
love
stretch
the
for a long
roly
time.
poly yoga. That is so awesome.
But I just love, like, it's called walking the way. The way is when we
Mm,
click into the natural flow of our life,
yes.
and which goes beyond how we think it's supposed to be, what we think it's supposed to look like. And like as you're saying that, that could be a whole career that could be it could go huge. Like that could be the
Yeah.
cover of magazines. It's such a needed niche, you know? And so I just really love that first piece of being willing to see like what is for me now, and even symbolically releasing the watch that represented an old time to step
Mhm.
into. And I feel excited already. Like who knows how this will outpicture. So it's a good opportunity for all of us to be thinking, is there something that I'm holding on to? Is there something I have attachment about how it's supposed to look
Yeah.
or how it's supposed to be? And what if I were to practice moving in trust or in faith,
Mhm.
or
Yes.
yeah, and walking in daily meditations,
And that's what we're talking
walking
about
like
today. That's what we're talking about today when we get into creating the spring that we want. And while we're still in winter, what are we really looking at to release and let go of to make room? And before we do that, I got to give you a major shout out, because in so many ways you inspired me. But one thing I really love about you, when I think of people, and ally does not even say what you mean to me. You're family. You're not just an ally. You're family. You've always been family,
mm,
and so those who are not black, those who are non, people of color. What does it mean to really truly be an ally, and not just to celebrate like Black History Month? I'm gonna show a video in a moment, but how do we really embrace this idea that we're really one, connected to spirit? You are the evidence of that. I
mm.
say this all the time. I have my two white sisters, Julie Moret and Susie Lula. I'm like, y'all my sisters, my blonde, my blonde sisters, which I love that, which is a reminder what we do here in this Friday experience and what we're creating. We're really showing up in so many different ways. You being a white cisgen woman, me being a black queer man, but we're all coming together, and we are the face of this, the yin and yang experience. I call it, this is my Friday morning yin and yang in so many different ways. It doesn't mean we're separate, but we are learning how to unite as one. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
Then my big shout out to you, sis, because you show up and you walk the walk. You walk the walk.
Well, I want to share something about that. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. And as a little aside, first of all, so many people think Susie and I are the same person, which is so funny.
I,
But
I,
we were in service together last Sunday, and she brings out the like elementary school kid in me, like that would get in trouble in class. Like the two of us are sitting in the front row, giggling like schoolgirls. Okay, so I just have to say,
and she
shout
is
out to
now she is the president of the board of Agape International Spiritual Center.
that.
And she was in my service on Wednesday night. And her husband and I, we do a service on Wednesday night, healing service. She was there sitting next to our board president. It was very interesting to look over to the right, and the two board presidents are there. And I just talk about a schoolgirl giggling. That was me. I was so excited. So, but you were going to say
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah. So for Black History Month, one of the things that I appreciate doing is taking the time to get more informed. And this
Yeah.
particular Black History Month, a very dear friend of mine, Michelle Duffy, she is the president of D3 Entertainment. They put out extraordinary films. Um, and she on
Mm.
her Instagram site, and I recommend anybody just checking out her Instagram page. It's Michelle Duffy, Duffie. She kept putting up these
Mhm.
videos, and some were things that I knew a little bit about. Like there's one video and they're short about redlining. and what that actually meant and how it impacted African American people, and the legacy of impact that it created, like the wake of impact. But there were other things, like there was a video about how Black marriage was banned from the 1600s to the 1800s,
Mhm.
and all the repercussions of that, like all the insidious tentacles that occur when you don't allow a family unit to be legal. So there was that, and then I also was learning about things like Billie Holiday. She was like in the middle of a performance, and she was arrested on heroin charges that her
Mhm.
manager had sent the police in. You may have known this. I didn't know this,
Oh,
but
no, no,
her
no.
manager
Yeah.
sent the police to arrest her as a way to teach her a lesson. And my words, it was almost like she was getting too big for her britches kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
she was put in jail. She was actually in a federal prison for a year at the very height of her career. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Whereas you have somebody like Judy Garland, I think same time period, who also had addiction, and she was just told to rest. So the complete juxtaposition of how people were treated. And then Billie Holiday, she gets out of prison. I mean, like, can you imagine being a huge star and at the height of
Yep.
your stardom, a year in federal prison? She
Yep.
gets out. I think it was like 3 weeks later. She's playing to a sold out Carnegie Hall because the punishment continued. When she got out of prison, New York City banned her from having she didn't have, I
She couldn't
think,
get a
cabaret
license. It was
rights.
a
She
cabaret,
couldn't get the
cabaret license.
license, so she couldn't, like, any place she normally would have played, she couldn't play, but she did sell out, Carnegie Hall, and then shortly after that, she's on her deathbed, and the police come and arrest her even then.
Yeah.
Like, the volume of harassment, because so many people will say, "Well, slavery ended at this point," or, Black people got their rights at this point, but the insidious and long running repercussions where, the police officers, it was really like a continuation of slavery, just legalized. There's so much about it
So
that
much
for
about,
me to keep learning and
yeah.
growing. And I really appreciated Michelle Duffy's Instagram page, where I could get these like little bite-sized learnings that are like in me. Like, I didn't look at any notes. I'm remembering things. So I'm very grateful for that.
Part of this work that we're doing here is we're all educating and re-educating ourselves. This is why these videos are very, very important to remember. This is a video from the Obama Foundation on the 100 years of celebrating Black history. Let's watch this, and let's just share this in together, because when I saw this, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's right. Here we go.
From our earliest days, Black history has been American history. We're the slaves who carried the stone to build this White House, the soldiers who fought for our nation's independence. African American culture has profoundly shaped American culture in music, in art, literature, in sports.
Through dance, they have told the stories of who we were, who we are, and who we can be.
Still dancing at 106.
And during Black History Month, that's really what we celebrate. We celebrate the people who have shaped our heritage. We remember those who struggled for our rights and our freedoms, and we reflect on how far we've come and how much farther we have to go.
1 month, a year is not sufficient to celebrate the power of a movement. That's something that we have to do, each and every one of us, every day, living up to their example, then handing it on to our children and our children's children.
So much I could say about that video. The one thing I love about that video, just remembering why it's so important for us to celebrate. Like next month is Women's History Month. We must celebrate women's history as well. But what is so important about that video was really recognizing the contribution and how we are fighting right now to even keep our history alive. There are parts of our government that wants to erase our history. They want to erase, queer history. They want to erase anything that's not white and anything that's not straight and anything that's not white, straight, male. This is a complete opposite, polar opposite. I'm going to say the polarity of the experience of what I know to be oneness. And, part of this is recognizing where do I have bought into these ideas that have a ceiling over my head. And that's as far as I am called to be or I can go. It's like, I never thought, one of the things that I celebrated this week was the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson. So I did a lot of, and I showed a video on Wednesday at the Wednesday healing service to celebrate. I've forgotten watching Jesse Jackson in 1978 on Sesame Street and him teaching the kids, I am somebody. And we go around the house, me and my brother and my mother say, I am somebody. I am somebody. Another quote by, Jesse Jackson, if you can conceive it, you can achieve it. We would go around the house saying, if you can conceive it, you can. That's New Thought Principle.
Yes.
And we get to look at this contribution. I stand here as a minister because of those who came before me, like Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, Lewis, all these people, these great people who inspired us to rise up, John Lewis, to rise up to be more. So we celebrate Black history. And this is, I think tomorrow is the last day. But it's the beginning of a ongoing tradition as we move into Women's History Month.
Yeah, and you know what that brings up for me? I know we're going to go to a commercial in just a second. It brings up like what is my responsibility as I'm watching that video. I am very aware. I spend a great deal of time with Martin Luther King III and his family, and I was on the Edmund Pettus Bridge with Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King just a few months ago. And I've been in Selma, I've been in Montgomery with them, and it makes me, and this is a good timing as we prepare in the next section of today to talk about the springtime, it kind of fuels, it pumps me up to say like, okay, what is mine? Because some way, somehow my life is unfolding, that I'm at the side of these people. And so I'm really eager to get into the next section to see, okay, like what's ready to emerge? What's the winter I'm letting go of? And what's the spring I'm saying yes to? So that's what we'll get to in just a moment.
And I do want to recognize my family's contribution to the civil rights movement. My family's from Selma, Alabama. So I've crossed over the Edmund Pettus Bridge many, many times, stood on it, and knowing that my family was there supporting John Lewis on the first march and the second march. Some of my family's friends and uncles and cousins were hosed down during this time. My mother was a part of the boycott to really let people know, here we're having a boycott. She was at Alabama State University and she made the flyers and she passed them out in Montgomery, letting people know this is what we're doing. And my brother was the first Black child to integrate a school in Alexander, Alabama. So part of this movement, I want to keep alive in my own space. So thank you so much for letting us shout out Black History Month. And we're going to shout out Women's History Month as well. Oh my goodness. So let's go. All right. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, but we'll be right back. Let's do this.
What would Louise say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents the High Vibe Hour. The High Vibe Hour, 60 minutes of connections, insights, and conversations to raise your vibe. Join Rev Julie and Rev Skip each week for an exploration of living a high vibe life. Tune in live every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time or anytime during the week on our YouTube channel. The High Vibe Hour, only on New Thought Media Network.
And we're back. We are back. We're back. You know, I was thinking while we're on the commercial, Rev, that next Saturday is daylight savings time. And this is the one that we lose an hour, but can't ever lose an hour in God because this is all man-made anyway. We jump ahead, and this is the one that really affects me the most. It takes me about 2 or 3 weeks to kind of really adjust to it. Interesting. That Sunday, I am on pulpit rotation for the Way of Meditation. I don't know how that happened. And I'm speaking that Sunday. I'm going to leave the Way of Meditation and go and speak at my own community, North Hollywood Oneness Center for Spiritual Living in North Hollywood. But you know what? I'm going to be running on adrenaline because I am going to Bali the next day. I will be leaving that Monday. And then when I get to Bali, I'm already in another kind of time change. So I'm going to land into the springtime with as much gentleness as possible. That is my intention. To drop
I love that you're setting that, and I love that you're letting us hold you in that, to know that next Saturday, next Sunday, next Monday, all the different times just unfold with ease and grace, and you are well tended to, and Way of Meditation is exquisite, and your speaking is exquisite, and getting to Bali is exquisite.
It's all good.
It all unfolds so beautifully. Yes.
You know, I love how the world, how the universe operates. And I went, okay, I'm speaking on that Sunday before I leave from Bali. I'm going to give some of my tools and things I'm going to share in Bali. I'm going to share it with the community. I'm going to use that as a focus of my talk. And I wanted to show you this before we drop into our thing. I don't know if you can see this. It says, "Love is the answer." And it says, "Rev Skips Retreats." And this is the t-shirt that I'm giving to everyone for coming on the retreat. And we have our t-shirt day that we're going to move through. And I felt it was very important for me to give. I'm giving a lot more, but creating t-shirts for our community and just reminding ourselves that love is the answer as we're moving into the spring.
I like that. And to move in love, it's like that softness, that grace as we shift things. And, we were talking about preparing the way for spring. And what came to my mind is, for some people, they haven't had the experience of winter. And I mean that in two different ways. So people that live in a climate that's very warm and sunny, Florida, California, where you don't go through, like when I lived in New York City, every springtime, it was like I earned it, like I went through a really hard thing. And so how do you like welcome a spring when it's not really that different from where you've been? Physically, but also metaphorically, because there are some people where they haven't really been through a winter. There hasn't been that darkness or that thing to struggle or that challenge. And there are other people who are still in winter. And what I'm thinking of specifically is, I have friends that everything that's happening with ice is a winter. I have friends that are afraid to go outside, like for real afraid to go outside. I have a friend of mine who's Mexican, but born in America. His whole family is legal. And they have family members that are just disappeared for 8 hours, 12 hours. They just get randomly picked up, taken in. And then once they prove that they're legal, and there's no rush on that. So it's many hours later. It's a full day's work of pay missed without any compensation. Then they're just released. So I'm very mindful. As we say, we're welcoming spring. There are a lot of people that are still in a winter, and there are a lot of people that don't have the empathy. They're not bad people. They just don't have the empathy. They don't realize that there has been a winter, that there is terror happening in some groups of people. And I really wanted to presence that in this conversation. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
It does make a lot of sense. And part of, I believe, my winter, I always look at winter as a time of going into hibernation as you're experiencing. But when the bear or an animal goes into hibernation, they're not just sitting there sleeping, they're actually contemplating of what to prepare because they brought everything into their cave of transformation because a lot of stuff is happening in that cave. They're losing fur, they're eating, they're releasing a lot of stuff. It's a time where an animal will contemplate how to prepare for spring that's heading up because things are going to have to change. You have to go start looking for more food and where are you going to be? And maybe there's babies that are being born. I believe that this is a very sacred time of winter and we're not quite out of it yet, but we're preparing. And here's the one thing I want to really, our listeners, what are you releasing and letting go of, like an animal that goes into the cave of transformation, a being that goes in the cave of this contemplation? What are you releasing? What are you letting go of so you can leap into spring? You can get into the spring. You can move with the ease of grace. This is why we shed our skin and the fur so it's easier to move. This is why a snake sheds its skin so it moves in fresh skin. What are you releasing and letting go of?
Yeah, and I want to add a layer to that. If you
Yeah,
feel like you didn't have a winter, it's not too late.
no,
If you're feeling like, because bringing that up because that's how I'm feeling. I
yeah.
traveled so much during winter time. I didn't have that cave up time. I thought I would. I didn't
Mm,
have that kind of hibernate time. I have been so on the move. And so I'm feeling like kind of ripped off. Like I don't want to go to spring yet. I didn't get my hibernation in. So I'm looking at my schedule. I really am like, how can I, in this next week or so, create some real like quiet time, go in
White
deep time. And so yeah, that's those are great points. Like as we prepare, we're not there yet. As we prepare for a new season, did you get what you needed out of your winter? Do you need to go back? Would it feel good to give yourself some of that winter hibernation? And if you're time to start sloughing off the winter, like a good face scrub, get all that dead skin off. What are you ready to slough off? What are you ready to? And I really love rituals, so that's not even far
yeah.
fetched. Like you could take some, sea salts, you could take some baking
Mhm.
soda, baking powder, you could take some essential oils, add in some olive oil, create or shea butter, and make a really nice scrub. And
Yeah.
as you go through the ritual of scrubbing off, sloughing off what no longer serves, what else are you sloughing off? You
And once
know?
you do that too, remind yourself if you're going to go through the ritual of scrubbing off and the layer of skin in the physical, in the energetic, sage is such a powerful cleansing in the energy because we're still holding on to a lot of energy from these experiences with ICE or these experiences with our government or the fear of losing something. And I believe energetically, if we're still holding on to that thing that is still triggering us, it's going to feel the same as we move into the newness. One of the things I love about our teachings, we teach that something is seeking to emerge. We also teach that everything's in divine order. And we also teach that everything's working for my highest good. You either believe that or not. I truly believe those three principles. Everything's working for my highest good. Everything's in divine order. There is something seeking to emerge. I truly believe that, not just in myself, but in the world. And I'm watching this and I'm very, very keen on watching how our government's been acting and where it should, and I'm seeing it right in front of my face. Everything's being shaken down. People are afraid of what's coming up with the Epstein files and our government trying to take back complete control because at its appearances of you're losing control here. You're losing
And one of
control.
the main spiritual leaders
I know.
in the New Thought movement, all
Yep.
the information coming out about him. And you've got a president making those obnoxious comments about the women's hockey team. Like
Yes.
there's a lot. So I think part of what I am wanting to slough
Yeah.
off is
Yeah.
I'm the part of me that's so pissed off at so
Yeah.
many unacceptable things being normalized
Right.
when it doesn't, when it prevents me from being effective. Because I could spin out in the things that I'm enraged about, but what the spring that I want to welcome in
Mhm.
is my creativity to use that energy of those things that are absolutely unpalatable, and like funnel it into creativity,
Yeah.
into something that is useful and beneficial. Do you know what I
You know what?
mean?
I do, and this is very important. I'm grateful that you said this. I was watching, and I've been more in tune with what's happening. I love YouTube, so I can get it quick. I don't have to stay long in the field. I can look at it and not stare. I heard, and I'm watching these spiritual leaders. I listened to Michael, what he talked about on Sunday at the Agape International Spiritual Center. And I've been able to practice this, that these are monstrous acts, but we don't make monsters out of these individuals. They're still part of this oneness in this community. And simultaneously, we can say, this is not right. This is not right. And stand for righteousness. And I'm so grateful that you actually mentioned that, you know, with the women's hockey team and the men's hockey team, and it's all coming up in our senses. And I had this thought the other day. I was like, is this going to ever end? And Spirit said to me, I heard it. It was more of a feeling. It's ending right now. Open up your eyes. It's ending right now. Because I've been saying that quite a bit the last couple of months. Is this going to end? And Spirit came very clear to me. It's ending right now.
Mm. Okay, I'll say yes to that.
I know that's a moment right there.
I'll
It's
say
ending
yes
right
to that. Like a seed cracking open, leaving a shell that no longer serves, creating and blooming a more beautiful world. Yeah, yeah. I guess my hesitancy is I just I'm hearing too many people that don't see that there's an issue.
Yeah.
I'm hearing too many people that are like, it's kind of like, oh, boys will be boys. Like that comment, because you know what happens when you make a comment like that about, I'll have to invite the women's team too. There is Andrea Waters King often says that her daughter has fewer rights today than she had when she was born. There is this slow degrading. That's the intention of this presidency. It's a slow degrading, maybe not that slow, but it's kind of like keeps getting slipped in. It's kind of like when you'll have men in a corporate environment refer to their female coworkers as girls,
Yeah.
you know? It's like a
Yeah.
slow degrade because you'd never refer to a 40-year-old male executive as a boy.
Right.
And so I think I'm feeling hypersensitive, which is maybe why I'm not ready for spring yet. I'm still pissed.
But then we can still use this as a form of conversation for next week as we're in women's history. And this is very, very important that we recognize this. Everything is in divine order, because where we were feeling this heightened marginalization with people of color, it dropped right into, well, before that, Black History Month. Now we're seeing even more heightened experience of marginalization for our divine feminine. Let's press that down, and it's coming up into Women's History Month. So how are we going to celebrate? Maybe our spring is recognizing the indifference that we're experiencing here in our winter. How are we going to stand up and be allies for our women? How are we going to say, this is not right? This is not right. I'm shout out to our teacher, Michael Beckwith, who said this. And I heard a lot of people saying that these people are dropping into the Epstein's files, and I had to do this on my own. I'm going to speak it. I'm going to say it. I had to remove Deepak Chopra out of my book. Only reason why I decided to do that, because my following are women. They are women that have been victimized, and no victims, but this horrendous experience to our women, to our girls, to our kids. I can't quote someone several times in my new book that has done these things or said these things, maybe emails or whatever, I don't want to bring people to the reminder. I want people to know, but I don't want people
Right.
to read my book and going, oh yeah, that's right, and he did that as well. So
Yeah.
I'm rewriting my book because I'm taking a stand. I don't want to promote anybody. It's like the other thing I'm learning to do, and sis, you're going to have to help me through this. I get back, I got to let Amazon go. I got to let it go. And Spirit is saying, you got to find another way. And I found how convenient it is for me to just, and the things that are happening from a company like Amazon, I don't want to align myself with that. And in my own spirit, something else is coming up right now. Equinox is a very exclusive experience. Where do I want to bring meditation and yoga to, or fitness to, where it's inclusive? This is a direct polar opposite to what I'm teaching and where I'm teaching it at. So right now I'm bringing the light there, but also I know there's a place where I'm here to align my gifts and talents with companies that believe the same thing. Am I making sense
Beautiful.
here?
Yes, I'm looking at the time and I want to make sure that I
Yes,
just like honor D-Ray,
absolutely.
because I
Yes.
really want to appreciate
He's
what you said as a
amazing.
white male, because I cannot imagine what it would be like to be a white male in the country right now when you're in these kinds of communities, because there is so much conversation about how like, oh, the white male has, everything just fine. So I just want to honor you, and I'm very grateful that you're on. And I appreciate that understanding that we are all one, and we're definitely figuring something out. It's
Yeah.
like the diamond is being made, and it's being made by just that real
Yeah.
abrasion happening.
Hey,
So
Rev,
let's
can you? I
figure
was
out.
going to ask you really quickly, just lasered. How can we contemplate? Because we talked a lot about releasing. We know what we want to release. How do we contemplate getting to the place of what we want? What something, maybe take us to a lasered process of maybe anchoring that of what we want
What you want. Yeah,
for
I've
spring.
been
What
thinking
spring's
a
going to
lot
be
about
like?
I've been thinking a lot about what it means to walk the way in our life. And that means clicking into like the flow, the gear. It's not following the goal or the thing you think you should do, but it's paying attention to like, what's the yearning? So I'm really paying attention to, there's this yearning that happens in me and the people that I'm drawn to and the people that are drawn to me. And there's something more coming up. So when I feel this impulse, this heat that I've been speaking of this past hour, for me, the next step is like to get to a computer and write, to get some of this out. So I think, as we move towards the end of this hour, I think it's worth it to just notice what's the yearning, what's the like the longing in your soul, what's the heart's desire, and then like what's a baby step, what's one tiny thing that you can like one tiny action to take today, I think would be a really nice first step. And maybe we'll do a lot more with this. We'll start earlier next time
Yeah,
to really
absolutely.
go into like what is it, because I think it will be time for me to release some of my pissosity and morph it into creativity, you
So we're
know.
calling forth a part 2 for next week. We're going to continue this conversation because it's so deep and rich. So I can really look at this as this was a conversation of letting go. Now we're going to drop into next week of really preparing ourselves for this new energy. I love that. And I adore and love you, sis. This is always my favorite time on Fridays and in the week, just to hang out with you. I learned so much from you. Where can we be? Where can people find you? And I'm popped that up there already.
Okay, yeah, I'm on Instagram at Rev Julie Moret. My book, Don't Listen, Rev Skip, is on Amazon.
So is mine. So
Get
am
it
my
now
new
on
book as
Apple.
well. What?
Um, it's What's Your What? How to Ignite
Yeah.
Your Unique Brand. And what I really appreciate about this hour, it's a little scary for me sometimes, because
Yeah.
sometimes speaking up, especially in communities where there are more Black people, sometimes I'll say something somebody will be offended. And so I want to thank you for creating a safe enough environment, because if we don't speak with each other, we don't know. So I just really appreciate being able to have a safe environment to say the things and learn and grow together, because that's where change happens. So,
and right back at you. That's my takeaway from what we do on this iteration of our connection of what we do on the New Thought Media Network, that we get to have these conversations, we get to talk, and finding our freedom and voice to call something in. And I don't believe in calling something out. I believe in calling something in to really contemplate and to talk about, what is my part in this? What am I doing in this? So, and two, my book's on Amazon as well. And you can find out why I have like 3 books on Amazon, but that's the practice. Everybody I know, every teacher, every spiritual teacher, their books on Amazon, but do I need to really get my toilet paper from Amazon every month, which I do? And do I really need to get my...
Talk about that more next time, because maybe people don't know even what the issue is with Amazon. And I want to do a takeaway, because I want to share what my takeaway is from today. I realize I need to get my energy moving. And so my commitment is to sign up for a dance class that I've been talking about forever, just to get energy moving and be in my body, so I can take some of all this fire and move it. So I'm going to,
oh my goodness,
do a dance.
That's powerful.
Class.
That is so powerful. So, I just know I am just still embracing everything that we're doing here and jumping into Bali. So I'm looking forward to next week. I'm looking forward to next week, where we are really going to have a wonderful, wonderful conversation of what we're embracing. And until then, that's it. We are here, and I'm grateful again for what we get to do here. This is a powerful time. Powerful time.
And thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you so much for being in and being with us.
And remember, transformation is a choice. And guess what? You chose today by joining us. So peace and richest blessings, and namaste.
See you next time.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents the Science of Mind Saturday Conversations. Learn more about the Science of Mind philosophy, faith, and way of life. Join our team of experts for a weekly deep dive discussion. Come study the science of mind, chapter by chapter, and resources from the Science of Mind archives. Plan to join us every Saturday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Only on the New Thought Media Network.